Hi students, let's take up another organism after having talked about rickettsia. A 24-year-old man presents to health clinic with painful micturition and non-purulent discharge. So there are a lot of clues that is hidden behind it. A very good clinical vignette that will really help you to learn a lot of things. First of all, the reproductive age man uh, coming to an STD clinic or health clinic complaining of painful maturation and non-purulent discharge. This should really help you out to differentiate it from a purulent discharge where you can suspect a bacterial uh, gram-stainable diplococci gram negative. Now let's proceed from here. Keep that in your minds for apart for some time. Gram stain of this discharge is negative. That's what I was talking about. Which organism? I hope everybody has the answer in the mind that we are talking about Neisseria gonorrhea, as the discharge is non-purulent. Fine. The patient admits to be sexually active with multiple partners and does not use a condom. The doctors should suspect which organism and what he should do at this time. Yes, definitely, as the specimen of choice would be urethral swab to the microbiology lab for testing. And very intelligently, the doctor has picked up a very confirmatory test without wasting his time, that is nucleic acid amplification assay, because he knows that this organism is not gram stainable. It could be not gram stainable. Wild guess, but yes, that's right. Arrow in the dark. Yeah, and also intelligently, empirically, he started doxycycline. So let's see. This is the cell lines where this organism, normally cell lines, because as it's not gram stainable and it cannot be cultured easily as other bacteria can be done, it could be done on a cell line. So this is a picture of a cell line, A, B, C, D, and all. And yes, it can be stained using a fluorescent dyes. Direct immunofluorescence is a very good technique where you can demonstrate this organism, and it exhibits in two forms. One is the active metabolically reticulate body, which is undergoing binary fission and everything in the cytoplasm of the host cell, and one is the elementary body that comes outside and which is infectious. I hope you are concentrating and listening to what I'm talking. So yes, elementary body is the extracellular. As you can see, the elementary body EB has come out. How to remember this? Just look out again at my pronunciation. Elementary body, which is extracellular. Elementary infectious. Elementary body is infectious form. Whereas you have the reticulate body, that is reproductive form or metabolically active. Please keep this in mind because it's a very high yield exam question. So we are talking about a reticulate body, which is the intracellular metabolic active form. Clinical message you already seen in the clinical vignette. And treatment, yes, doxycycline, erythromycin as given for other STD infections are the drug of choice. So let's proceed from this good clinical vignette which we have been sensitized with. So we are talking none other than chlamydia. They are obligate intracellular bacterial pathogen of yes animals and birds. Obligate intracellular pathogen. So let me make myself again stress on this point. That's the reason why they are not gram stainable. You need special stain for them, or you can use cell lines, and they cannot be cultured. They have typical tropism for squamous epithelial cells of the respiratory tract and the GI tract, and also the GU tract. They are classified as bacteria. Actually, they are a transit forms between the bacteria and the virus. So let's think why they are bacteria and why they also follow some properties of virus and under the family Chlamydiaceae. They are recognized as bacteria because they contain both RNA and DNA. They have a cell wall and ribosomes. They replicate by binary fission, and they are susceptible to, very importantly, susceptible to antibiotics and the presence of both DNA and RNA. And they have a, let's look at why they resembles virus, because of their filtrability and failure to grow in cell-free media. That is, be blood agar, chocolate agar, and all those things you cannot grow in them. Unlike bacteria, they do not have peptidoglycan in the cell wall, though they have a set wall, as you have seen in the previous slide, but they do not have peptidoglycan. That's the reason why they are not gram-soluble. They lack enzymes of electron transport chain. Therefore, they require ATP and nutrients from the host cell. That's the reason why they are obligate intracellular. That's the reason why the term energy parasites are used for them. Now talking about the forms, elementary body. Yes, as I told, they're extracellular and they're infectious forms. Elementary infectious. Weird synonyms basically. It's pronounced like that. Reticulate body is opposite. That is intracellular and it's metabolically active form. Yeah, talking about human diseases caused by chlamydia, you have chlamydia trachomatis, especially serotype A, B, BAC, which causes trachoma, typical producing the cobalt stone appearance and the upper eyelid, more described well in ophthalmology. And chlamydia trachomatis D to K, the serotypes D to K, they cause inclusion conjunctivitis, infantile pneumonia, and genital chlamydiasis, that is cervicitis, and non-gonococcal thrombus. If you just go back to the lesson gonorrhea, the last topic, the paragraph will describe in gonorrhea as non-specific urethritis or non-gonorrhea. This is one of the major cause. There's a big list of bacteria, virus, fungi, and all, but major cause of non-gonococcal is chlamydia trachomatis. Okay, having said that, now the reason inclusion conjunctivitis is basically because of the congenital, basically that's like mother to the child, that is transplacental or the transvaginal delivery. It's called chlamydial ophthalmia neonatalum, and the reason genital chlamydiasis is because of it's called swimming pool conjunctivitis, social bathing. There's some practice called social bathing. So anybody who has chlamydia and infection, who goes for a swim in the same pool where you have normal individuals, these secretions through the urethra might get mixed up in the pool and contaminate their eyes and result in genital chlamydiasis. Coming to another group of chlamydia trachomatis, there is L1, L2, L3 serotypes. They are known to cause another STD infection called by name lymphogranulum venereum, LGV, lymphogranuloma venereum. The second species in the genus Chlamydia psittaci. I repeat again, Chlamydia psittaci cause psittacosis, a disease especially by parrots and all the parrots in that family. Then the third species, Chlamydia pneumonia, as the name suggests, it affects the lungs, formerly called the Twar strain. It causes acute respiratory disease and it produces especially the atypical pneumonia. Atypical pneumonia, where you also have Mycoplasma and Legionella. The mnemonic to remember this is MLC, Member of Legislative Council. Mycoplasma, Legionella, and Chlamydia, which produces atypical pneumonia. Fine. Coming to the laboratory diagnosis, it all depends upon the type of infection. So if you have the trachoma, then you can take the scrape, what you call swab from the conjunctiva, or if you have the urethral secretions, you can collect it in the Dacron swab, not the cotton swab, or you can take the corneal scrapings if even the keratoconjunctivitis occurs. In suspected psittacosis, blood and sputum, if septicemia and lungs are involved, can be sent for microscopy and non-cell line culture. Cell lines basically in a suspected LGV, as the you can see the inguinal lymph nodes are swollen and inflamed. These are typical condition called buboes. It's called inguinal lymphangitis. Aspirate from them can be sent and subjected to microbiological diagnosis. So they are not gram negative at all. Very difficult, very difficult, but better stained by Giemsa, Castaneda, Machilivo, and Jimenez stains. Inclusion bodies are demonstrated. Yes, very important point. High yield area. The inclusion bodies of Chlamydia trachomatis is called Halberstadt-Prozok bodies. Halberstadt-Prozok bodies or HP bodies. Do not get confused with the HP bodies, that is Henderson-Peterson bodies of measles. Sorry, Henderson-Peterson bodies of the viral infection. Sorry for the spelling here. I will repeat again. Henderson-Peterson bodies. Okay. So the bodies in chlamydia is called Helbersteder and Prozaki bodies. Coming to treatment, as already told you, erythromycin can be taken as drug of choice or doxycycline, tetracycline. Single dose azithromycin also gives a good result. Let's look at this clinical variant. As you can see, the already very easy for you to diagnose. There's a good parrot over here, and this is a person who is responsible for taking care of parrots, cage. That's the reason why different terms have been given, and these are the people, more people prone for it: poultry workers, pigeon farmers, bird fanciers, veterinarians. Because the root of chlamydial infection, pneumonia, and your cytocosis because of the birds droppings as nasal discharge aerosols are liberated. And but keep in your mind that similar disease from non-cetacean birds is called ornithosis. Don't get confused with ornithosis with psittacosis. Psittacosis is exclusively with parrots and its brothers and sisters, whereas diseases because of birds other than non-cetaceans is called ornithosis. And inclusion bodies in your chlamydia psittaci or psittacosis is Leventhal Cole bodies, LCL bodies. So let's look at the clinical vignette. 22-year-old woman presents to emergency room with fever, headache, chills, non-productive cough. Chest X-ray reveals evidence of bilateral incision pneumonia. Definitely like this would be pneumocystis jirovecii. Non-productive cough, mycoplasma, chlamydia, legionella. All this should be ruled out. But look at the history. History reveals that this woman's job is to clean bird's cage at pet store. That's very, very important. That's really rule out legionella. That really rule out mycoplasma. That really rule out legionella or other differential diagnosis. Attending to the patients. So what is the organism? Chlamydia psittaci. So this is the life cycle of your chlamydia, describing your elementary bodies, which is the infectious form extracellularly, whereas you have the elementary body converting into the reticulate body, which divides by binary fission and multiplication, reproduction, everything occurs. So which of the following statement is not true regarding chlamydia trachomatis? It is biphasic. Yes, it is biphasic. So it is true. Reticulate body divided by binary fission. Yes, that is true. That's the reason why I was stressing how important the life cycle and the two morphological forms are. It inside the cell it evades phagolysosome. As you can see, it has been phagosylized, but it has not been lysed. Elementary body is metabolically active is wrong. Actually, it is a reticulate body that is metabolically active. Reticulate body that is active. So answer is A. Chlamydia grows in which of the following cell lines? Sorry. So the answer was basically HeLa, HIP2 and things like that. HeLa, HIP2, I think McCoy cells were also there. Irradiated McCoy cells. The McCoy cells, because they keep on dividing, you have to irradiate them. And also your HeLa cells. They also have to be DEXA material. They have to be exposed to the material called DEXA. These cell lines can be used. HIP2 material cell lines cannot be used for chlamydia. And yes, your yolk sac, as you have also seen in my previous video in rickettsia, I already told you that in yolk sac, two bacteria that can be grown other than viruses is rickettsia and chlamydia. So this is the answer. But these are all, there's also a screening test that you can do by ELISA, know the IgM and IgG. But very good gold standard test to diagnose chlamydia is nothing like nucleic acid amplification test. I hope you have understand, and that's a very quick crisp crunch of chlamydia. And please get back to me with your comments and reviews and suggestion so that I can keep on improvising, and it will be very beneficial for you. All the best for your exams, and don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video. Thank you very much.